I am here at Expat Roasters. I'm getting a V60 hot. We are getting the West Java blend today. These beans are from the Prianger Frinza Collective. The process is washed, and then the tasting notes are syrupy body with molasses spiced cocoa with restrained citric acidity. So we'll see what happens. So essentially, this is a wine aerator. There's a screen in the top. I know you can't see that too well. There you go. And then there's like a method which the coffee goes through, or wine, but it basically aerates the coffee through here into the glass. In the same way that when you taste wine, you go, and it doesn't matter, just enjoy the wine. Shut up. It adds actually quite a lot of texture and flavor to that, so. The coffee here is so much better than in Korea. The beer in Korea is better than here. The coffee here is better. The best cafe I've ever been to is still in Jogja when I was here 6 years ago. 12 beans from all across the country, 7 preparation methods. We did a V60 today. They had the Chemex, they had AeroPress, they had the siphon, they had espresso machine. You name it how you want your bean. So essentially you can have a different coffee kind of for like 3 months. It's 84 different ways of doing beans, right? Of course, 2 of the beans and some of the preparations would taste similar, but an espresso shot from a certain bean and an AeroPress with more liquid in it, they're gonna taste different, even though they're the same bean. This, really mild acidity. There's a bit of leather on there. There's a bit of sour from, it's not citrus sour, but there's a bit of just sour, like pure, the distillation of the idea of sour. And just, man. Korea, again, I'll talk about the good and bad things in both countries, right? But Korea is very big on cafe culture as the third place, which is not your work and not your house, right? It's a meeting place. And a lot of Korean cafes focus on atmosphere, on Instagrammability, and it's not like this is not a cute cafe by any standard, right? This place looks really nice, but they also haven't forgotten the roasting and the beans. They roast these too. The beans, if not paramount, then have equal footing with the atmosphere that you imbibe sitting here and soaking this in, right? I think, and this is not to say that you can't get good beans in Korea. There's a lot of baristas doing a lot of interesting stuff. But coming here, and maybe I'm biased because I'm in a touristy area and they want to charge a lot for beans and they know that if they have nice coffee here, they can charge more, right? This was 5,500, which is not cheap. Let's be honest, your average drip coffee in Korea is going to be 6,000 or 7,000. Your average Americano in a chain coffee place is going to be 35, 4,000, somewhere in there. So this is by no means cheap, but they haven't forgotten that the coffee itself is part of the experience. This is not sitting around and talking because you have nowhere else to go. This should also be an experience in and of itself. And damn son, what an experience. I'll show you some pictures while I talk because I didn't take any video there, but we went to a place outside the Bali Museum, which is this is not what real Bali is or real Denpasar is. We went into kind of real Denpasar and we went to a cafe and they had an Americano rampe, and it was an Americano infused with ginger, cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves. I'm very certain that cinnamon and cloves were more prominent. Holy cow, the cloves are such an underrated ingredient. You think of cloves, you think Christmas ham, right? But they're in the cigarettes here, and they were in this Americano. It was so nice. And then we had a couple of V60s like this one. One of them was from Uganda, very grassy, very earthy. It was good, but we had one from Aceh. Aceh is the super Muslim area of Indonesia. You can talk to more liberal Indonesians, and you can make jokes with them and say like, oh, we were thinking about going to Aceh next week. And the look on their face, I did that today in that cafe that I'm talking about now, as a joke. And I said, oh yeah, we're probably going to go to Aceh next week. And he literally, no joke, he went like, and like even Aceh is too Muslim for Hindus in Bali. But even in Jogja, where there's a lot of Muslims, even they were like, oh, why, bro, why are you going to Aceh? Yeah, I was like, joke. But the coffee from Aceh, Yanju and I agreed was probably the best coffee that we had so far. This place is very close. We had a couple of those other beans the other day. It's so nice having different beans. And they don't need to advertise beans. All these beans here are from Indonesia. A lot of places you'll go to in Korea because they don't grow their own beans, and this is not their fault, but it'll be around the world, right? Which is great. It's great to have a lot of variety for beans that you get. But it's also nice to go to a place like Indonesia, and they're not showing off internationally, regardless, they had Uganda beans, but you will have like Aceh, Sumatra, Java, Mandaling, this place, that place, and they do taste totally different. You know, coffee's coffee. Well, then beer is beer. And there's no difference between a stout and a New England IPA then. If coffee's coffee, then there's no difference between a lager from Germany and an English bitters then. Fine. Beer's beer then, right? It's horseshit. Coffee's not coffee. Beer has a taste to it, wine has a taste to it, coffee has a taste to it. But when you start actually comparing and sipping different cups, if you want to spend a bit more money and you actually know what you're looking for, the world's your oyster, and it's so pleasurable just sitting down with your aerator. Kevin's a snob. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I fucking love it. I had an Americano earlier at Percent Arabica, which is a Kyoto chain. It's not a big chain, but they have one downstairs here. I had the drip, and now I'm having an espresso. This is the Bali Kintamani. Kintamani is a village on the volcano north of Ubud. So this is the most unique coffee offered by Expat Roasters. Our Bali Kintamani Natural is the result of our collaboration with local farmers using a new processing technique. After being harvested, the ripe cherries are left to dry in the sun, resulting in a coffee that is juicy, sweet, and fruit-driven, with tasting notes of sweet rock melon, peanut, and jackfruit, with hints of dates and biscuits on the aftertaste. So I got my little cup here. Light roasting on this too, so a lot of those flavors are going to remain, right? It smells like a warm pie. Not even a specific fruit, but like a warm pie. It's bordering on sour. It's just under what I'd call sour, although there is a sour acidity to it. Any more and it'd be like, oh god, it's just touches it. Texture on the crema is really thick. Oh. See, rock melon and jackfruit. I had jackfruit a couple of times while I was here. I couldn't pick jackfruit out of a lineup. That's not in my wheelhouse of flavors. Being a Canadian who lives in Korea, yeah. There is a peanutiness to it though. There's like a richness, like an earthiness, peanutiness to it. In texture and in flavor. Huh, that comes through. Regardless. Again, this ain't cheap. This is $3.50 after tax. Which, you know, that's how much a espresso would be in Korea. Espresso at a random place in Korea would be about $2.80. This is more expensive than that. You're paying for the location, which I'll show you out the window in a second. We're in like Beachwalk. It's like the most expensive mall on the island. You know. Good Lord, that is good though. As far as Seoul goes, I'll put some links to some good roasters in Korea for those who want some good coffee. It's going to be more international. It's going to be a little bit less personal. You know, we're getting beans from the island, Bali, right? The people in Korea, unless you go to very specific roasters, they're not going to know the growers or anything, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's a step removed in the process, right? If you can buy beans from someone you know, there's a sense of trust there, and that's good for everybody, right? There's a partnership, there's working together, it results in a better cup. You know, impersonal is always worse for just about anything. So, yeah, I'll put some links below to good cafes. And I'll put the links for the places I've been here too, if you're in Bali, which isn't likely, but in the future, yeah. Anyway, happy drinking. I'm caffeinated out the ass. Third coffee.